Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, the family of a young murdered woman say they're beyond heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with her sudden death. An Ulverston man who was taken into custody yesterday morning, only metres down the road from the crime scene, is being questioned by police. He is yet to be charged.
These are the last photos and videos of Gabrielle Marshall alive, taken just 6 hours before she was allegedly stabbed to death in a place she should have felt safe. The 23-year-old mother of one had only moved to Tasmania from the Sunshine Coast 3 weeks ago, looking for a fresh start. She'd been staying with a friend and her 2 young children when the unthinkable unfolded at 3 a.m. yesterday. Gabrielle's devastated family say she was in a good place and was starting to turn her life around. Her mother and siblings took to social media last night. "Gabs, we love you. We're sorry we couldn't protect you." Now her daughter is without a mum and doesn't quite understand the situation. It's shattering. "You'll be forever loved, my sweet girl, and missed so much." Locals in the town say they're in disbelief.
Shocked and horrified. Yeah, it's really not something that happens here. It's a nice coastal country town. No things like this ever happen.
Yeah, a little bit scared about it, I'll be honest, yeah.
Absolutely gut-wrenching. Like, I have 3 kids of my own and, and it's knowing that, they're going to grow up without their mum, like, honestly, it's just sad.
Yellow markings covered front lawns and footpaths today as police work to retrace the suspect's movements. A section of Main Street has remained closed for a second day as forensic officers comb for evidence. A third crime scene has been set up here, halfway between where the alleged murder and arrest took place. The street is expected to remain closed until tomorrow morning as detectives try to work out why this young mother's life was cut so tragically short. LETITIA, WALLACE, 7 Tasmanian News.
A woman has been arrested and a police manhunt is underway for her accomplice after 2 men were held at gunpoint in a terrifying carjacking in Launceston. The pair allegedly stole the vehicle and when police attempted to intercept them, they ditched the car and fled on foot.
A late-night manhunt that extended into today as police searched for 2 allegedly masked and armed offenders who'd earlier stolen a vehicle at gunpoint on Granville Street, West Launceston at 6:30 last night.
A short time later, police identified the vehicle in Wellington Street, South Launceston, attempted to intercept the vehicle.
Following it to a street in South Launceston where the vehicle was abandoned by the offenders who scrambled.
Cordon was put in place and a search was conducted in the area using our drone capacity as well as uniform officers.
Police spent hours hunting the pair before tracking down a woman who was taken into custody and charged with aggravated carjacking and aggravated armed robbery. She's pleaded not guilty to both charges but was refused bail.
Police are following a specific line of inquiry in relation to the male.
Police allege the pair stole the vehicle while it was parked here, threatening the driver and his passenger with a gun. Thankfully, both victims escaped uninjured. However, today they were still too shaken to speak on camera.
It is a concerning matter that there is a number of firearm crimes occurring in Launceston. Obviously, we have our task force in place.
Authorities are asking for anyone who has information about this incident or was in the area at the time to come forward. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
And police investigations are continuing following reports of a firearm being discharged inside a Risdon Vale home. Emergency services were called to the Waratah Road address around 2:30. Police say upon arrival, crews recovered a firearm from the property and took a 24-year-old Risdon Vale man into custody. No injuries were reported. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. New Labor leader David O'Byrne is promising to unify his divided party and win back voters who have turned their backs. With another potential 4 years ahead in the political wilderness, he says Labor will listen to the community and learn from past mistakes.
He's waited his political career to say these words.
It's a humbling moment to be elected leader of the Parliamentary Labor Party in Tasmania.
A former union boss, David O'Byrne was elected to Parliament in 2010, quickly gaining cabinet positions.
I'm David O'Byrne and I've worked hard to make a difference.
Vote 1 David O'Byrne.
Tossed out of the job by voters in 2014 before given a second chance 4 years later.
A number of people did come to me and say that they wanted an experienced hand, someone who represented the electorate before.
His leadership victory yesterday was clear, 74% of the vote over Shane Broad. A major figure of the left faction, Mr O'Byrne is now tasked with restoring peace between both sides after an election where Labor's enemy was itself.
We need to listen, we need to build trust, and that takes unity. And I've got commitments from across the party that we are in this together.
Promising the party will represent all Tasmanians.
And that means compromise on some people's case, then that's what has to happen.
Transparency could be the first test.
The party presents itself not only as competent, but competently managing itself.
David O'Byrne is from the hard left. He's a wholly owned subsidiary of the union movement. I think Labor's got a lot of trouble yet to come.
Labor's shadow cabinet could be known as soon as tomorrow.
Being in opposition is not fun. There are no spoils of opposition. This is an enormous task and we have an enormous job to rebuild Labor and I relish that role.
Parliament returns next week, followed by 4 tough years of finding the voters Labor has lost. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Occupational therapists are calling on the state government to address chronic staffing shortages at the LGH. OTs at the hospital say the department has known about the problem for 2 years but failed to address it, with staffing in the long stay rehabilitation unit to be further reduced in coming weeks.
It'll mean that people stay in hospital for longer and that'll cost us a lot more money and it'll cause those patients and their families, all of the anxiety and stress.
We just don't have enough occupational therapists here to be able to meet the need, and we want to be able to offer good quality services to Northern Tasmanians.
The state government says a newly created health recruitment task force, which includes HAYWOOD, met for the first time today and is looking to address staffing issues. Tasmania's new governor has officially been sworn into her new role at a ceremony at Government House. Former judge Barbara Baker becomes the state's 29th governor. She was flanked by the Supreme Court Chief Justice, the Premier, family and friends as she made her proclamation. She replaces highly respected Professor Kate Warner, who held the position for more than 6 years. Our border to Melbourne will remain shut until at least next week. 3 new coronavirus cases have been reported in Melbourne today. One, a hospital nurse treating COVID patients. Public Health will review Tasmania's border closure on Friday, but has confirmed restrictions will stay in place until at least Monday. Meanwhile, a COVID case has been confirmed in Sydney, with a man in his 60s testing positive. The source of the case is being investigated. Well, grab your jacket. Dark Mofo is at last open, with thousands preparing to fill Hobart in the coming days. For more now, we cross to reporter Sean McComish, who's looking a little cold this evening. Sean, I'm sure you don't mind. Now, tell us what's in store for opening night.
Well, Kim, not going to lie, a little bit chilly here tonight, even though I am actually wearing 2 coats. But of course, it's always worth it for Dark Mofo. A smoke and fire ceremony is currently being held by the Aboriginal community at the old K&D site. Hundreds are also about to undertake what's being called a reclamation walk and these are some of the interesting sights that they'll see. False gods called earth deities made from clay, LED lights and smoke machines. Overall, there's a sense of gratitude that this festival is actually going ahead this year, given COVID and the recent outbreak in Victoria.
I think the scale of the festival is really amazing. To see these kinds of large-scale installations with really complex technical and production dimensions being realised in these essentially non-art spaces is really exciting to see, and I think it's a really good offering to the public.
The festival is running for a week, wrapping up next Tuesday. It's unclear if that will be enough time for Melburnians to fly here if restrictions are lifted. The other thing that, of course, has also opened tonight is Winter Feast, and there's speculation that that event for foodies could be extended. Kim?
You have a good time, Sean, and stay warm. The government is going back to the drawing board on a contentious plan to widen the road at Eaglehawk Neck. Protests broke out at the rural Tasman highway site last year after it was revealed proposed construction would disrupt a mass Aboriginal burial site. Following community consultation, new plans are being worked on to protect the area while still upgrading the road.
We can deliver it in a way that's effective, safer for the travelling public and of course sensitive for all Tasmanians, including our Aboriginal Tasmanian community.
The revised plans are due to be released for public comment next month. And a controversial development at Kangaroo Bay could still go ahead in a different form. Last month, the University of Tasmania withdrew its support for the proposed hospitality school, but the developers are moving forward with a new proposal. Shambroad has now put forward a number of different options, including a hotel and apartments and commercial spaces. The Clarence Council will now consider the project. Two large local fan bases have rushed to snap up tickets to Essendon's blockbuster return to Tasmania against the Hawks on Sunday, with members having first dibs on seats today. On the ground, allegiances are split between the stadium's ground staff.
4 days out, the battle lines have been drawn.
Here at work, we have several people that go for Hawthorn and a couple of people that go for Essendon.
John Keddy is on the Bombers' side, but he had the indignity of putting up the Hawthorn flags this morning. And come Sunday's game, he has to work. Don't feel too sorry though, he'll be up on the roof collecting the ball.
What drew me to Essendon in the first place was actually Essendon v Hawthorn. In 1983, I watched Essendon lose to Hawthorn in a grand final, and then I've always gone for an underdog ever since. And when we beat them the following year in 84 and then again in 85, I just loved it. So there's a massive rivalry against Hawthorn.
Van Diemen's Dons member Grant Don't can't wait to see the Bombers fly up.
My grandfather was a Essendon supporter, my mother, so since I was a baby, I only wore Essendon gear.
He remembers going to games as far back as the old Windy Hill days, and Grant was there when Essendon last set foot in Tasmania, a practice match against the Sydney Swans at North Hobart Oval in 1997.
I was invited into the club rooms with Essendon, and it was actually one of my mates was an umpire of that game from out of Melbourne, so it was really good, and it was just amazing to see so many people at North Hobart Oval. It was a great day for Tasmania.
Essendon is giving local members $30 off their ticket. The public can snap up a seat from 10 a.m. tomorrow, while the Roos Lions clash at Blunston Arena also goes on sale tomorrow from 2 p.m. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, 13 new disability workers have joined the workforce, with a Migrant Resource Centre training course wrapping up. A graduation ceremony held at St Giles for those passing the Creating Access to Real Employment program, which provides practical experience in the industry.
If I get a chance to face an interview, so I can prove how passionate I am to work in this disability sector.
I think it's extremely important to support people in experiencing Australian workplace culture, be introduced to employers and actually have real life experience, as well as some accredited training to prepare them for work.
The Migrant Resource Centre runs the CARE program multiple times a year to train workers for the disability, aged care and hospitality industries.
Former Glenorchy forward Aidan Grace has been a shining light for Central District in the SANFL this season. The 23-year-old Tasmanian works for Australia Post Monday to Friday, but has also been delivering on weekends.
Grace with a miracle, the Dogs with the first.
It's been a pretty good start. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a few more wins on the board and stuff like that, but look, we're playing some good footy in patches. We just got to maintain that over a longer period of time.
The attacking target already has 20 goals to his name this season. Tasmania's NBL 1 South teams are set for another weekend on the sidelines, with the competition announcing round 9 has been postponed and the fixture shortened by 2 rounds. Northwest Thunder coach Nick Haywood says his players are coping well with the layoff.
Look, it's not ideal, but I suppose one thing we've got in our favour is we've got some guys playing NWBU finals at the moment, so they're still getting their competitive stuff, which is really good, and we've just ramped it up at training for everyone else over the past sort of 10 days.
He said they've been told teams from regional Victoria will travel to Tasmania next weekend so the competition can resume. In Premier League hockey, Derwent's men's side spread its goals across multiple scorers again overnight, cruising to a 4-1 win over OHA. The side is now 2 wins clear on top of the table. Emily Rockefeller helped Derwent's women's side to an upset win over the top-ranked OHA, her goal the only score of the game. To cricket, reigning David Boom medalist Jake Doran will remain with the Tigers until 2025 after inking a new deal, while the only known ambidextrous cricketer coming through the ranks has been added to the Sheffield Shield and one-day squads. Nivitan Radhakrishnan can bowl spin with both left and right arms. But it's his batting which the Tigers are the biggest fans of.
We certainly see him as an opening batter who can bowl predominantly some right arm off spin.
Western Australia's Brad Hope also joins the squad, while veteran Tim Payne remains the highest profile member of the team.
We've got some at the back end of their career in the mid-30s, and we've got some exciting young talent at 18 and lots of players in between. So we're really pleased with where we're at currently.
Alex Pycroft and Tom Rogers have been cut, along with rookies Keegan Oates and Jack White. Also departing is Alex Doolan, who announced his retirement in April. But David Boom medalist Jake Doran isn't going anywhere, signing on until at least 2025.
I think we've got pretty much every facet that you need to win some trophies.
Tasmania is his main focus. National selection is something Doran will simply take if it comes.
I don't think there's any, if this happens, you're going to be selected. There's none of that. It's just purely at the end of the day for me to perform and win games.
Most of the players return to the state this week to begin their pre-season. To cricket, reigning David Boom medalist Jake Doran will remain with the Tigers until 2025 after inking a new deal, while the only known ambidextrous cricketer coming through the ranks has been added to the Sheffield Shield and one-day squads. Nivitan Radhakrishnan can bowl spin with both left and right arms. But it's his batting which the Tigers are the biggest fans of.
We certainly see him as an opening batter who can bowl predominantly some right arm off spin.
Western Australia's Brad Hope also joins the squad, while veteran Tim Payne remains the highest profile member of the team.
We've got some at the back end of their career in the mid-30s, and we've got some exciting young talent at 18 and lots of players in between. So we're really pleased with where we're at currently.
Alex Pycroft and Tom Rogers have been cut, along with rookies Keegan Oates and Jack White. Also departing is Alex Doolan, who announced his retirement in April. But David Boom medalist Jake Doran isn't going anywhere, signing on until at least 2025.
I think we've got pretty much every facet that you need to win some trophies.
Tasmania is his main focus. National selection is something Doran will simply take if it comes.
I don't think there's any, if this happens, you're going to be selected. There's none of that. It's just purely at the end of the day for me to perform and win games.
Most of the players return to the state this week to begin their pre-season.
Good evening, welcome to the weather. 13 degrees today in Hobart. Launceston had a top of 14, 13 degrees in Burnie with 15 degrees in Devonport. Around Tasmania, 16 was the state's top at Eddystone Point, 15 on Flinders Island, 14 for Low Head and King Island, 13 degrees at Cressy, Scottsdale, Smithton, Wynyard and Fingal, with 12 for Campania and a top of 9 degrees at Ross. Persistent coverage of cumulus cloud today across Tasmania. Further out, an active line of convective cloud over eastern Australia associated with an upper level trough. Mid-level clouds streaming into WA, the cloud mass over Tasmania associated with the nearby low easterly flow. Tomorrow shows the low and the front have moved east over Victoria. Another front situated west of Tasmania, the high over WA extending a ridge eastwards. Southeast to northeasterly winds 10 to 20 knots about the east and the south, variable 5 to 15 knots for remaining waters with seas between 1 and 2 metres. There is a minor flood warning current for the Macquarie and South Esk rivers, and a flood watch is current for the eastern half of Tasmania. 13 and showers in Hobart tomorrow, as well as Cygnet, 14 for New Norfolk. Morning fog and 15 degrees in Launceston, 15 in Devonport, 13 degrees at Campbelltown. Showers in the northwest, 14 degrees for Burnie and Strawn, 15 at Smithton, with 15 and showers increasing for St Helens, 14 degrees at Swansea and Fingal. Showers expected about eastern, central and southern areas on Friday, fine for the remainder. Light showers about the south, the east and the west on Saturday, otherwise pretty fine, with a fine day on Sunday, just some showers about the west. Looking at your major cities for tomorrow now, 19 degrees in Perth, 16 in Adelaide, cloudy in Melbourne, 15 degrees, 10 and showers for Canberra, 19 and sunny in Sydney with 24 and an early storm in Brisbane. And at the moment it's 11 degrees in Hobart, Launceston's 12 and 11 degrees and rain in Devonport. That's all for Wednesday and weather, Kim.
Okay, thanks very much, Sam. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we do have some developing news. Tasmanian Public Health has declared a number of locations as high risk after a case of COVID was confirmed in the Sydney suburb of Bondi earlier today. Anyone who has visited the hotspots will be banned from entering the state, while travellers already here may need to self-isolate. For full locations, please check the Public Health website. And that is a wrap for tonight's news. We'll have updates throughout the evening. Good night.